What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Data with Peachey. We are in episode 12, 13, something like that. We are in the double digits as it relates to the Data with Peachey podcast. Today, I want to talk about one of the things that I heard. I was just recently at a conference. This is literally like right hot off the press. The conference was literally just last week, where we talked a lot about data governance, talked a lot about AI, and talked a lot about security. But one thing was remarkably true over and over again, and I hear this a lot around data governance and data management. Dr. Coverdale was actually the keynote. She spoke incredibly well about data governance and talked about, I think one of the things that she talked about was data governance schmovernance, or something to that effect, where we constantly talk about data governance, but it doesn't really resonate with our senior leaders. And that's the thing that I want to talk about today, and I've hinted at it in the past dozen or so episodes that I've done in this particular podcast and talked about it countlessly at different conferences and blogs and things that I've done, is data governance is actually a study in human psychology. It is almost exclusively a people capability. Now, I can hear some of the folks in the background or through the internet, of the echoes of the chambers of the internet that are out there talking about, what do I mean when I say that? Because it's about policy, standards, procedures, implementing technology, managing and governing your data to make it the best for the business folks. But I'm here to tell you that 80% or so of everything about data governance is all people-based. I'm going to talk a couple different capabilities and aspects of that. So it's 80% about the people, 15% about the processes, and about 5% or so about the technology. Look, I can tell you right now, there are a lot of different companies out there today that have managed their data and governed their data using no sound governance or management practices or principles, because that's just what they've had to do. And so the phenomenon of needing to be a 3 or 4 on a maturity scale from a data governance perspective is a fairly recent phenomenon. And I'm here to tell you that's not actually the way you have to do it. There is no one-size-fits-all approach as it relates to how you do data governance in your organization. And I say that because those folks have probably wrapped around some sort of common thing and then led that to the finish line, which again kind of gets me to my point of this is a study of about people. I talk a lot about the capabilities and services from data governance. Got to have good policy, good procedures, good sound practices, principles, all that jazz. That's what you need to have from a governance perspective and a data management perspective. But you got to get the buy-in from people to enact that change up and down the corporate ladder. You got to get the buy-in from the executives to take the time out to build these different capabilities and services from governance and management, and then ultimately change the way that the organization is doing these things. Data governance is all about change management. And what hates change the most? People. Technology does not care. Technology is going to enable you to do these things. I kind of hinted at it just a minute ago where we talked about a one-size-fits-all approach. I think one of the biggest things is, and I've learned this over my career from a data perspective, and definitely in the past 10 years as a data governance professional, was it is not a one-size-fits-all approach. I hear a lot of the times like, well, we have to have a policy and we have to have this and we have to have that. And no one's really talking about the why. We talk about why we have to, because that's what good governance programs do, or it's this much on a maturity scale to say that we have these things. Yeah, but so what? Who cares? Why does that matter? And it's all about enabling people to understand what you're trying to do when you're starting to enable these capabilities and services from a data governance perspective. Why do we have to have different stewardships and this, that, and the other? Look, I know why, but the idea is do your senior leaders or the middle managers that are going to be feeling the impact the most of all of these changes, do they know why? Do they understand what you're trying to accomplish as a data governance professional? Do they understand the value that they're going to get by governing and managing their data with what you're offering as a capability and service? When I started my career in data governance, I was one of the guys that straight up said, well, you have to have it because it's a 3 on the maturity scale. And a 3 on a maturity scale is very much in line with our competitors. Again, I did not do a good job of explaining why that matters. We have to explain the why. Data governance is a people capability. You can have the best policy, you can have the best standards, and you can have the best procedures in place. But if you don't get people to accept and understand the why, they're never going to really truly buy into what you're selling from a governance and management perspective. And that's the thing is, again, it's very easy to have good, sound governance and data management practices and principles in place because it's the right thing to do. But we live and breathe this stuff every single day. Our business folks, our technology folks, they don't. They just simply have day jobs, right? Like our day job is data governance. Their day job is maybe being a infrastructure engineer. Maybe they are a marketer. Maybe they're somebody who works in human resources or sales or whatever. That's their day to day. We're asking them to do something in line with data governance and management expectations without fully explaining the benefits that they're getting. And also one of the things as data governance professionals, and again, I was guilty of this, was, well, how dare they question me? I'm the data governance professional. I mean, I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I should be doing. And this is my job and they should do this because it's the right thing to do. But again, we live and breathe that every day. What makes it the right thing to do? Have we taken the time to explain why this thing matters and why it's going to be beneficial to them? Obviously, two paths, right? You have the risk part of it to say, by doing these things, we're reducing risk to the organization. A lot of that's driven by compliance, regulation, laws, and things like that. They'll understand that. I have to do this because the law says so. Okay, it makes a ton of sense. What do I got to do to make sure that I'm in compliance with the regulation or the law? Got it. But when they don't have that, because not every single industry has that, how do you get them involved to make sure that they're accepting what you're selling from a data governance perspective? Again, I really look at the thing that I feel like misses a lot, and a lot of organizations really miss the boat on this, is they put really good process-oriented people in data governance roles because that's truly what we need in order to bring a full framework to life. But the thing that they miss a lot is putting people in positions of data governance that have the ability to communicate and influence others by being able to be genuine and tell the story of what data governance and data management's trying to do. Almost like a sales type role, but what you're selling is the benefits of governance and management services and capabilities. Have we really invested? I talked about the struggle before in the last episode, but have we really invested the right people into these governance and management roles rather than just putting our best process-oriented individuals? Nothing against process-oriented individuals. I love a good process. But have we put people in a position from a governance and management perspective to be able to influence and communicate with senior leaders, middle managers, and all the way down, including our data stewards, to be able for them to fully understand why we're asking them to do these things? One of the biggest things that I think a data governance team or shop or group can do, one of the first things, and I think it needs to be a core capability of everything data governance and data management related, is data literacy. I've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast. I am now double or tripling down on the idea that it's not just I'm going to build policy, standards, procedures with data governance and data management. I think one of the very first capability and services that a data governance organization should have is the ability to have data literacy for the organization. It should be a mandatory thing that a data governance organization builds a data literacy capability and service. Exactly what are we trying to get the business to buy into from the capabilities and services that we have and we offer? We've got to be able to explain to them what are the words and the language that we're trying to get to. We have to straight up tell people what we mean when we say the words. We know how important a taxonomy is, data definitions, and data catalog. Those words mean something to us as data governance and data management professionals. At face value, they mean nothing to anybody else, but it's our job to teach, train, and educate, give them the data literacy program so they can understand in their terms and their language why those things matter to them. So again, we've got to say, what are the words that's going to resonate with those and really lean into this concept of data literacy from a governance perspective. I believe a lot of data governance teams and data management teams completely miss the boat and fail because they do not have kind of that foundational data literacy program that I believe should be one of the first capabilities and services that's offered out of a data governance, data management, or data office program, period, full stop. Because once you start to set the foundation of what that means, you can talk about data culture, data engagement, communication and collaboration, ownership and accountability, because they will have a foundation of what those words mean to them in terms of how their role plays in the data space. You can't ask them to do this advanced type stuff when you've literally not taught them basic arithmetic, right? You've got to be able to talk about why the data is important to them. Well, what does it mean when we say we need a data definition? What does that mean to them? Why is a data definition important? What is taxonomy? When we say data quality, it's more than just accuracy. How many times have we got into a meeting with a senior leader and they just go, oh, well, my data's fine. It's good. It's accurate. It's not wrong. Yeah, but it's so much more than that. We know that there's 6, 7 pillars, depending on what you look at, of data quality. Do you know how to explain the difference to those senior leaders and why they need to understand what the differences are? Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. But the idea is you've got to use words that's going to resonate with them. And that's the big thing that you're going to see. I think, again, everything that I have just described in this particular episode is all around the people aspect of it, the communication aspect of it, and influencing those others around us. Notice, none of it had to do with technology. None. Everything that I've talked about, you can do with a pen and a paper. You can do it with a camera like I'm doing right here, or an audio podcast if you're listening on Apple or whatever. Nothing requires a crazy amount of technology, just good old-fashioned one-on-one conversations, good old-fashioned just human connection. Picking up the phone, calling somebody and asking, hey, can I take a moment of your time to try to explain this to you? Yeah, it sounds kind of salesy. I get that. But again, if you want your data governance program to be successful, you really need to invest in the people side. Technology will enable, people will make it fly. And that is the big thing that I think a lot of different data governance programs are missing right now. So if you have that, that's great. Continue to invest in that. Don't just make a one-size-fits-all approach training program for data governance. Evolve every year. New things are happening a lot. New regulations, new whatever you want to say. Get in front of those individuals. Again, teach, train, and educate. That is our job. It's very easy to instill policy standards and procedures. If you started to change and implement the change management that goes behind the people aspect of all of this. So again, maybe a little ranty in today's episode, slightly shorter than normal, but I had to get this out there because it was one of the things that I had seen so much and heard a lot in the last conference that I was in. So invest in the people, invest in the people, invest in the people. So if you're listening to this on your favorite podcasting application, consider giving a 5-star, thumbs up, stars, whatever they do on Apple or Google or whoever you're listening through. If you're watching this on YouTube, consider doing all the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment for below. And that is the newest episode of Data with Peachey. I will be back in a few weeks. Who knows what I'm going to talk about this time? So as always, be good, be kind, be good, or be good at it. And we will catch you on the flip side.